Hey Sharon, thanks so much for inviting me to speak at Digital Marketing Summit Asia. It's really awesome, and I did have something pretty cool that I wanted to share, and something that I have been researching for a pretty long time, which is around video content. But before going into the actual presentation, to give a brief background overview or an overview about myself. So I am Kishan, the founder of ThinkSocial Asia. So this essentially started out as a blog 2 years ago around a space that I'm really passionate about, which is social media marketing. That is the specific pillar in digital marketing that I started out my career in. And over the past few years, the blog that I started out has expanded further into more of a consultancy, focusing on ad hoc work around media buying and also strategic work around consultation to meet brand KPIs and so on. So I'm working along a lot of like exciting projects, but specifically focused on Asia. So one of the main reason why I started this out was because I felt there was a big gap in the market like a few years ago when a lot of the marketing case studies content was tailored or customized towards Western needs, Western case studies, but there was a lack of Asian case studies, like studying Asian trends and how it can then be used to create successful campaigns for local brands. So that's one of the key motivations. So that's a quick overview about myself, but of course, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you look to collaborate further among our companies. So without further ado, let me go straight into the presentation. So today's topic is on how to prepare for video content for Asian audiences in 2020. In the past decade or so, marketers have started to experiment with video content, and they have seen a fair share of success and challenges associated with them. In 2020, the Asian audience will become even more sophisticated and demand high quality content that's audience-centric as opposed to product-centric. As such, in today's session, we'll explore audience trends, regional case studies, and conclude with a proposed framework to adopt for video content creation in 2020. In case you are not on the video marketing bandwagon yet, video content is no longer a futuristic ideal, but it has arrived and it's here to stay. In the past 10 years, we've seen how video marketing content has evolved from a hard sell product-based approach to a more emotional consumer-based approach, which has yielded impact on short-term goals like monthly sales and long-term goals like brand health alike. Beyond that, local content is also a strong performer among Asian audiences, and it's likely to become even more evident in 2020 and beyond. The question then arises, how can we leverage on these three trends to gear up for 2020? We've heard this a lot. What can you do that your rivals can't? Are you the best option in the market? What exactly is your unique selling point? These questions tend to motivate brands to traditionally center their ad messaging around USPs, which are usually brand focused. But is this approach truly effective in making ads relatable to their target audiences? Or is it time for brands to explore emerging approaches just consumers at their forefront? While there are numerous ways to ideate and create video content, based on my personal research and as well as experience working with brands, I believe the inclusion of these two concepts in your video content will put you in good stead to achieve your marketing goals in 2020 and beyond. First, universal human truths, also known as UHTs, which are human ideals, qualities, or situations that are motivational or easily recognizable. These could include emotions or common experiences that your target audiences are likely to have gone through. Second, localization is equally important. Communicating the selected UHT in a local context, like using festivals or experiences unique to their country, will help strengthen the message and emotional connection with the brand. Identifying and adapting UHTs in an apt manner are crucial steps in creating emotional connections between brands and their target audiences. A case in point would be the Park Hotel video ad that used the need for social affirmation as its core universal human truth and localized the message by using the theme of staycations, which is pretty unique to Singapore. But then again, are there any other examples that we can look at beyond Singapore? The answer is absolutely. There have been some notable ads targeting Asian audiences that have been expertly choreographed and filmed to make them relatable via localization of the identified UHTs. First up, KFC Malaysia, who used social listening to discover consumers' personal moments with the brand to create 5 standalone short films, turning their words into picture and showing consumers how much KFC valued their personal moments with the brand. Let's take a look at one of these videos.
During our early days, to have KFC, we have to wait for Abba's payday. Or once in a few years.
To sum it up, KFC repurposed its customers' nostalgic experiences, for instance, buying KFC on special occasions expertly, which helped to maximize authenticity and novelty, ultimately resulting in thumb-stopping content for audiences. Next up, TC Bank, which is based in Taiwan. Similar to KFC Malaysia, TC Bank choreographed the true story of a group of elderly friends on how they dared to not only dream, but to train hard to realize the dream despite their ages and medical conditions. Let's check it out now.
人为什么活着？为了思念，为了活下去，为了活更长，还是为了离开？去情报队了吧！5个台湾人，平均年龄81岁，1个重听，1个得了癌症，3个有心脏病，每一个都有退化性关节炎。6个月的准备。环岛13天，1139公里，从北到南，从黑夜到白天，只为了一个简单的 人为什么要活着？
A pretty awe-inspiring video, isn't it? How this group of elderly friends determined to live their lives to the fullest, and more importantly, relive one of their best memories of their youth. And it's also perfectly aligned with a bank which can best help to realize their dreams. Moving on to Thailand, where brands are pretty well known for their tear-jerking content. Let's take a look at a true life story repurposed into a video ad for TrueMove, a leading telco in Thailand. Something extra special about this video ad is that not only is it based on a true story, but the UHD selected is closely related to the advertiser's vertical, which is giving is the best form of communication. As a result, unsurprisingly, the video became the #1 shared video ad of 2013, and the brand was voted as the telco brand that best understands Thais. Next up, a video ad from UOB Singapore. When you think of banks, what is one of the first values that come to your mind? Let's watch this video to find out.
你过来。这个花瓶十分珍贵，万一摔破了就无法替代。你要答应我，我去碰它。
知道了。少爷，时间到了。
好。 进来。你不是答应过我，你不会碰这个花瓶的吗？是。嘉祥，你要记得，最珍贵的那是曾经。
Trust is priceless, and Yobi did a great job to depict this with impact via the dropping of the antique vase, with the character playing the father role in the video. While UHDs tend to focus on irreplaceable elements in life, IKEA Malaysia in this example plays an innovative spin to this by creating video ads focusing on replaceable elements of life. Let's take a look now.
You can't choose your mother-in-law, but you can choose her chair. The choice, arriving 16 November.
How cool would that be if we tried it out in our lives? Well, many of us can relate to the experience of living with the habits of our family members under the same roof. IKEA's spin to the challenge is something that is relevant to the brand and also a solution that its target audience can appreciate. Next up, festive occasions are also great times for brands to communicate the common values that they share with their customers. Let's view what McDonald's did with one of their Hari Raya videos.
Zul, kejut abang kau, lagi 5 minit ke sahur.
Oh, okay. Hey bro, it's okay, I'm busting. Son bro, it's cool man. McDonald's, hello. It's been a long day, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. No problem. Hey, it's time to book up puasa, right?
Food delivery folks also have it tough, as seen in this video, and linking it to the spirit of sharing during Ramadan makes it an extra special and meaningful message to create resonance among consumers. While we are on the topic of festivities, Singtel released a short film last year depicting the challenges that the elderly face in bringing together their families for Chinese New Year reunion dinners. Let's take a look.
How are you?
哎，很久没有看到你，我还要买这么多东西啊！The children come back for Chinese New Year, is it?
Yes. My son is a lawyer in Sydney. My daughter a banker in Hong Kong.
Wow, you're very proud.
Yeah.
哦，Social number finish already.
哦，
改天再回来好吗？
Yeah, sure.
好，你再继续看妈妈看。
You have one new message.
Hi, Bob. Boone here. Just wanted to tell you that I have an urgent case I need to work on through the week, so I can't make it back for Chinese New Year. Anyway, Jay will be back, right? So I'll call you then. Happy New Year in advance, Bob.
Hey, Mr. Good fish today. Oh God, it's and hot. Hot yet? Thank you, Mr. Hello?
Hi, Pa. It's Jane.
Oh, hi, Jane. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Pa?
Good, good.
Pa, sorry, I forgot to tell you that Aaron wants to go to Tokyo Disneyland. So we won't be coming back for Chinese New Year. I hope you understand.
Sure, go.
Thanks, Pa. Anyway, Boone will be coming back, right?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Oh, Pa, I think I gotta go. Aaron looks like he's waking up.
Check.
Yes, Pa?
Nothing. Say hi to Gerard and Aaron.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotta go, Pa. Talk to you later.
Mr. Lee, your children are not back yet. They're coming back soon. Oh, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hello, Uncle. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Hey, you're not going home? I'm not either, you know.
But Pa told me that you were going to be there when I spoke to him last. You can't do this to him last minute.
What do you mean last minute? I already told him I've got work to do.
You're always like that.
I prepared all our favorite dishes.
A pretty relevant message, isn't it, to align the brand with its target consumers. This video garnered over 1 million views within a week of being published and became the best performing Chinese New Year ad in Singapore in 2018. Resonance is indeed the name of the game, with the idea of reuniting with loved ones during the festive season emerging as an increasingly familiar story as more Singaporeans work and study abroad. Since Deepavali just ended, it may be timely to view this video ad about family traditions and values related to the festival and how TNB, a Malaysian electric utility company, linked it to their brand values. As seen from this video, the underlying theme is trust, and that family always has one's best interests at heart. TNB did a great job to integrate the tradition of parents buying new clothes for their children for Deepavali In addition to the incorporation of movie references, which went a long way to create a strong emotional connection with their Indian target audiences. Next up, water, which is a precious resource and plays a central role in many cultures. For the Malay community, water is synonymous with family ties as described in a popular Malay proverb. Let's take a look at how PUB produced a short film using this concept as its focal point. heartwarming and to some extent heartbreaking, isn't it? This award-winning ad likened the unbreakable bonds of brotherhood by drawing a parallel between water and kinship, which made it relevant to PUB and at the same time resonating with consumers who could relate to the kinship ties being portrayed in this ad. To this point, we've seen several case studies from Asia which combined UHTs and the local context effectively. At the same time, we can also look beyond Asia for inspiration on universal human truths and attempt to apply them to a local context so as to stand out from the crowd in the region. Let's check out some of the video ads from Coca-Cola, a brand renowned for their marketing efforts worldwide. First up, in Argentina, Coca-Cola ran this video ad showing the ups and downs of parenting, which turned out to be an emotional comedy for those who watched it. Let's take a look. Amazing, isn't it? The trials and tribulations of parenting is something the masses, regardless of where they are, would be able to relate to, and the accompanying apt music made it even more interesting to watch. To quote the creative director, he mentioned, if anybody else did 10% of what your children did to you, you'd knock them out of your lives. Yet the love you feel for them is so immense that it endures everything. And that's something the brand wanted to communicate through this ad. Till this point, we've seen video ads that had a positive impact on audiences. This next ad divides opinions where it examines brotherly love and bullying. Let's watch this clip to learn why. While the older brother stepped up and protected his younger brother from the bullies, there was some unhappiness among some netizens who felt that the video was implying that it was okay for family members to bully their siblings. This is something to think about as we approach 2020 and as consumers get more accustomed to branded films and demand quality and authentic storylines adapted to Asian context. This next one from Coca-Cola Iceland is one of my favorites, where wonderful glimpses of Iceland alternated with shots of Icelanders going about their daily routines using various objects to produce sounds that mirror the famous Viking thunderclap. Let's check it out now. Can't help but feel hyped up after watching this ad. The key message was that everyone should dream together, which was chronicled in the storyline where Icelanders went about their day-to-day routines, making sounds using objects they worked with, to sing with the Viking clap, which became synonymous with Icelanders during the Euro 2016. All in all, we've seen several videos that showcase the approaches that are likely to work well in 2020. Most have a clear UHD backed up by localization to ensure a strong emotional connection with audiences. However, there are some challenges to navigate with these approaches as we close in on 2020. Namely, today's audiences are becoming more sophisticated and marketers have to level up on their content creation game. Some of the video trends that worked well in this decade could be primarily due to their novelty. And as more Asian audiences transition to and consume more digital video content, it is important to try out new trends and balance it with your brand's risk profile for doing so. The key question here, though, is whether we can minimize the risks associated with innovating. If the focus tilts towards innovation for your brand, it is important to also consider any potential stereotypes related to your target audiences that are being casted in your video. The next advertisement stereotyping an Indian man as a brown face, and a recent Panasonic Chinese New Year ad showcasing only women doing housework are recent examples which led to some unhappiness among Asian audiences. This brings us to the final slide and potentially the most important one, a workflow to help you create effective video content for Asian audiences in 2020, which helps to maximize success and mitigate risk at the same time. First, remember that universal human truths are human ideals, qualities, or situations that are motivational or easily recognizable. While focusing your ads messaging on USPs may be sustainable in the short run, UHDs are the elements that help to drive long-term ad ROI. Brands should thus select UHDs that transcend product features to include those that may be associated with consumers' goals. Brands should ideally, by association, help users achieve these goals so as to maximize brand and product recall. Executing these UHDs is as important as UHD selection, whereby it is crucial to consider cultural context as well as to validate the ad with the representative sample of your target audience before the actual ad delivery. This is extremely critical and can go a long way in avoiding any public uproar over any specific elements of the ad. Storytelling approaches are great, but try to focus on one specific story in each film. Brands should also consider splitting the ad into mini episodes so as to maximize consumer engagement and brand recall over a longer period of time. Co-creating part of the video content with audiences could also ensure that the final video content reflects a closer fit between the brand goals and consumers' expectations. And also, the best way to combat ad fatigue and the need to validate via case studies could be through being an early mover in a space once a pioneer has released a new video concept that has worked well with consumers. It's also important to have a contingency plan in place, like removing the content, editing it to address concerns, or releasing a statement to explain the underlying rationales in the event the video ad incurs an adverse outcome among audiences. Finally, be relentless in iterating between testing new concepts and optimizing future videos based on the learnings. And that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at Kishan at ThinkSocial Asia. Thanks so much for joining, and all the best for the rest of the year.
Hey, Kishan, thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah, no worries at all. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, definitely. You showed us a lot of videos. Thanks for the video examples, and you mentioned a few things about like fundamental, laws and rules and stuff like that. So I was wondering if you have like a list of examples of the principles that you were talking about.
Sure, absolutely. I did share briefly, but I can go back to the slide that details more on this. Yeah, so essentially, there are so many things you could do with your video content, but these two pillars are what I have noticed and observed to have worked really well in the past decade. So the first pillar, which is on universal human truths. So these are basically any common ideals, values, or experiences that your target audiences can easily relate to. So the most common examples would be like festivals like Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, Diwali, or maybe a certain life stage like parenthood, marriage, or even like graduation. So the key is to first of all think about your consumers. What are the common experiences they've gone through? Or if you want to use values, what are some values that are easily recognizable and tend to motivate most of your consumers? So these are some of the examples that came out through the case study. So that is the first pillar. The second pillar is on localized content, because I've observed in some videos, the values are being portrayed, but a connection can't be established with the target audiences, especially in Asia, because it's too westernized, it's using too many Western nuances. So it becomes distance to the Asian consumer. So this is where it's really important to add an extra layer of connection with the audiences by using local nuances like traditions, true stories, festivals, and even like popular references to TV shows, movies, and so on. But what I think has worked really well and has been the top successful item is true stories, repurposing it so as to retain that authenticity and also a degree of novelty, because it's being said from a unique consumer experience. So these are the two key pillars that could be your guiding principles for 2020.
Cool. Thanks so much for sharing. I think that's really, really good pointers you brought out. Yeah, so I think with the limited time that we have today, I think that'll be the questions for now. Thanks again. Do you have any other like parting words of wisdom, for people who are looking to bring their visual storytelling game to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are numerous content out there, and with digital social channels, it's so easy to get access to inspiration. But the key part is as we continue to innovate, try out new ideas, there are inherent risks involved where this cartoon depicts it well, and usually we need to balance it with our senior management. Like they always will consider, is this a risk that is worth taking? What if there are some public uproar over like unintended outcomes? So depending on your risk profile, of course, if your brand is maybe more of a high risk taker, that's great. There could also be a higher ROI if you hit a bullseye. But if you don't hit the bullseye or there's some unintended outcome, it's important to craft some contingency plans, release a PR statement, or make some edits to the video, because reacting quickly is really important, because usually negative word has a more permanent place in consumers' mind than a positive video. So damage limitation has been done really quickly. So on the other end, if you're more of a low risk taker, that's pretty cool as well. You can use any social listening tools to try to get on new trends early, like being a second mover. So it's still relatively new, but not something that is totally like mainstream yet. So that is some way you could manage the trade-off between risk taking and creating something novel. And of course, I think something that is really important, with these recent examples is that I really feel that you should test out your video content with a sample audience, maybe even your friends, or like getting a few individuals from each different group to whom your videos are being targeted to, so that these folks can easily flag to you any unintended adverse feedback that you might not have spotted during your own video creation process. So that is really key as we move to 2020 and to avoid all these adverse results and maximize success with your video content.
Thank you so much for sharing.